Okay. So how can we connect to the database and uh, what is the approach in Java? Through Java code, you can connect to the databases. Uh, so application architecture. We have a front end, middle layer, then back end server. That is the database server. So database server. So to interact with the database using Java code, we are going to use a JDBC API. So JDBC is a standard Java API, which is used to connect and execute your SQL queries using Java programming language. And you can connect to the any database, Oracle, MySQL, Microsoft SQL Server. For any kind of database, you can connect with this JDBC API. So what is API? So application programming interface. So let's encode access request statements in a structured query language, and you will send the SQL queries in the Java code, and that will go and talk to the database. But which database? How do you know which database it will go and talk? You are going to give the database details. Your company is using some database. That database has a name. So it is running on which port, the listener name, and so host name, port number, all these details you will get. So you need to get those details. If you don't have, you get the details. Then, so once you build the Java program and pass the SQL queries. So once you pass the SQL queries, first it will establish the connection, then create a statement on that database, execute the query, fetch the results. So this is the 4-step process will be there. So that's the database connectivity. So why you need to use a JDBC? Before JDBC, ODBC API was used to connect and execute your SQL queries with the database. So, but ODBC API uses ODBC driver, which is written in C language, So because C is a platform dependent and unsecured. So that is why, so Java is, platform independent, right? And so it works with any database. It doesn't depend on the database type. That's why people are preferring to use JDBC API to connect with the databases. So API means it's a set of functions. They will write a set of functions. They will develop the logic. Each function will do one task. So that's the APIs. Basically, that is also code. API is it is just created for applications. Even you can create a libraries and to interact with the one system to other system. You will use these APIs. So there are different types of drivers are there. JDBC, ODBC bridge driver, native API driver, network protocol driver, thin driver. So these are the different types of drivers. So what are the different steps to create a JDBC application? So to create a JDBC application, you need to follow below steps. First, all these interfaces and classes are available in java.sql package. Java.sql package. So first you have to import the java.sql package. That's the import packages. Include the packages that all interfaces classes are available. Then first register the JDBC driver using class.forName method and give your driver type. So class.forName, load the driver class, and this is the driver type. So for each database, we have one driver type. So this is for SQL, MySQL driver type, and for Oracle, different driver type will be there. So each database, the driver type will be different, but this code is fixed. Only this is the parameter. The parameter will change, but code is constant, class.forName method. And the second step, open a connection. After driver is loaded, so use the get connection method to create a connection object and representing a physical connection with the database. So then third one, execute the query. No, this is the not only execute query, but before this, after establishing the connection, you need to create the statement. So first you create the statement and then execute the queries. And once you execute the query, extract the data from the result set. Use the appropriate method to get the data. So like there is a get string, get date. So like that we have a methods, get methods are there, and you can call that. So that is the all the steps. Here I have given more. So clear steps and code also. Load the driver using class.forName method. And this is the Oracle database driver type. Oracle.jdbc.driver.Oracle driver. This is the driver type for a Oracle database. And the top I have given MySQL driver type. So code is same. You can observe this. And connect to the database using connection interface con equal to driver manager dot get connection, and you can give the URL. So username and password. So string URL equal to, so you can give the URL like this. This is the descriptor URL, database descriptor URL, JDBC : Oracle : thin : so localhost. For example, database is installed on your current machine, then you will put a localhost. Otherwise, you need to give here the database host IP address. So where database is installed, that machine IP address you can get it. How to get the IP address of any machine?
Running the command prompt.
IP config. So if you write IP config, you will get the IP address. See this is the IP address. Okay. So you need to give this. So in the Linux, you have to give if config. Okay. So that's a Linux. So this IP config won't work. Okay. So it depends on the operating system you are using. So that you are going to give here. Then port number. So you will come to know while installing the database, the port number, that port number you have to give, and you will give one database name. While installing, you will give the name and give that name, database name. So that is a SID also, we call that system identifier, or that means database, how you can recognize that some name you will give, that name you will give. So this is the, with this, connection will be established. On this connection object, you create the statement. So statement st equal to connection dot create statement method. Fetch the results. So result set res equal to st dot execute query method. So on this statement, we execute the queries, SQL queries, select a star from EMP. So this weekend I shared the SQL cheat sheet. Please go through that SQL cheat sheet because SQL queries are very important wherever you are attending interviews. At least 1 or 2 questions will be there on the SQL. You should not tell I don't know SQL. So you just say I know basic SQL. That's why read that. Otherwise, go to W3 schools. So W3 schools. So here you have a good tutorial. So here it is. Just go and read these are till giants. Till giants, you read it. So that's enough. But make sure you know union group by having anyway I have given in that so cheat sheet. You can read them. Okay, so other than that, you don't need much. So please know at least spend 1 hour for this SQL. At least 1 week is enough. You don't need to spend much time also. Or you spend a weekends, 1.5 hour on this SQL, you can finish everything. 1 hour is more than enough. So weekends, 2 weekends, if you spend, you can finish this SQL. Okay. And once you fetch the results, so you can extract the data using for loop or while loop. Use the while loop res dot next method, and then inside that you can extract the data from this table. You'll get all the records. Star means you'll get all the records into this. So then you can use those things. Okay. In these 4 steps, what are all the classes, methods, interfaces we used? So this is first step, you're using a class for name static method. For that 1 parameter you have to give driver type. No interface for the first step. Second step, create a connection, right? Establishing the connection. So driver manager is the class, get connection is the method, and connection is an interface. Connection is an interface. And for this get connection, you have to pass 3 parameters: URL, username, password. Third step, create a statement. For creating a statement, we have 3 types of interfaces. No class here, but method is there. And there are 3 types of statements are there. So we'll discuss now the 3 types of statements. One is simple statement, prepared statement, callable statement. There are 3 types of statements are there. This is the interview question. What are the different types of statements? So in JDBC, so you have statement interface, prepared statement, callable statement. All 3 are interfaces only. So when to use one, I will discuss. Okay. The last step, fetching the results. So execute query method is there, and that you will pass the SQL query. And result set interface. Result set is an interface. Result set is an interface. So when you will use a statement is, the statement is used to execute a simple SQL queries like this. So you can use a statement interface is more than enough. If you want to execute a prepared statement, when you can use is, you want to pass a dynamic SQL queries. So you want to give an input to the SQL queries, and then you can use a prepared statement. And also this prepared statement will help you preventing the SQL injection attacks. So the hackers will try to hack the your system. They will give SQL queries on our application. So by targeting the database. So if your database is weak, you will get the access. Okay. Next, see, so SQL injection attacks will be prevented using prepared statement interface. So it automatically escapes the special characters. Prepared statement allows us to execute dynamic queries with parameter inputs. You can give the inputs. You can give the inputs. Okay. So now, callable statement, third statement type, callable statement is used to execute stored procedures. Is used to execute stored procedures. And these are the three types of statements. And this is the total program. Import java.sql package. Inside you have connection interface, driver manager class, prepared statement interface, result set interface, SQL exception class, properties class is in the java.util package, all first import statements. So then we have to create some variables, string URL equal to what type of database you're using. It based on the database, okay? So this is the string URL. So then you create object for properties class, properties, props equal to new properties. Properties class is a predefined class. It's a predefined class. It's a predefined class. And so why I'm using this properties class, I want to set my username value, password value. So that's why I'm using a properties class. In that we have a set property method. So there is a built-in method in this class. That's why I'm creating object for that class. I'm calling with object reference dot set property and key and value. So the username is, so for Oracle, I'm assuming it's a Scott and password is a tiger. So these are the username password I set for this object. So the only I can use that object. So this is the code try block. So always you have to use a try catch finally blocks. Yesterday only we discussed this try catch block last two classes. So try block. Then first step, load the driver. Again, I'm repeating the same steps. Class dot for name, Oracle dot JDBC dot driver dot Oracle driver. Second step, create a connection or establish a connection. Once a driver is loaded, establish the connection. So connection interface con equal to driver manager class dot get connection of URL, comma, the username password, right? Username password I stored in this object. So I'm giving props. So string SQL equal to select sysdate as current day from dual table. So from after whatever is it, that's a table name in the database. So database basically relational databases are going to have a tables. Tables have a rows and columns. So you are selecting the system date as a current day from this dual table. So that's a query. You can write any kind of query with a select statement queries. And then, so create a prepared statement object to execute the queries. Prepared statement, pre-statement variable equal to connection dot with this connection. On this connection only I need to prepare a statement for this SQL query. Then execute that query. So it will fetch the result set. Result equal to pre-statement dot execute query. Pre-statement dot execute query. So while result dot next method, and so then you get the result dot get string method current day. Then so it is done. Catch block. So SQL exception e dot print stack trace, finally block, con.close, result.close. So basically the connections I am closing in the finally block. I told you right already, finally block code is used to execute an important code. So that important code we are executing here. So that's the finally block. Finally block is used to close the connections. Con.close, result.close. Okay. So this is all about a database, how you can do that. So this is all database testing, how you can do. I have given some examples here and you can try it out all this. Okay. So that's it. A database code is a fixed code. Okay. Otherwise you can write some methods like this. So you can write a methods and you can reuse them also. Yeah. So any questions? So remember these 4 steps. Load the driver. Second step, establish the connection. Third step, create a statement on the connection. Fourth step, execute SQL queries on that statement. So you fetch the result set and iterate that. So that's it. That's the whole code you need to remember. So each step there are classes, you can remember those classes and code. That will be by remembering the, so multiple times if you read, you can remember. Okay, any questions before jumping on to the next topic, file handling? Okay. No questions, I'll move on if you don't have any questions. Okay. So next topic, file handling. How to handle the files? How to handle the files? So file handling means you have text files, CSV files, JSON files, Excel sheets, any kind of files if you want to handle, then this file handling is a very important topic. So file handling is basically is available in java.io package. Java.io package. So java.io package. So these file handling related classes are available. So there are 2 types of cases we need to understand here. One is reading the data from the existing file. Another scenario, you need to write the data to the file. These are the 2 scenarios very important for us. So reading the data from file to your Java program, or one file data you write it to another file. So all these different scenarios we'll consider. Let's understand first for reading what are all the classes are available and how we are going to use them. Let's see in this. So we have files here. This is the file, and that file, the data will stream in a byte format or a character format to your Java program. So in the network, data will flow in the byte format or a characters format. So once you read the data to your Java program, you can use inside the Java program the data. So the data can be in any file. So it's a text file or Excel file, Word document or properties file or JSON file, any kind of file. It can be any type of file. So not necessary, it should be a particular type of file. So you keep the data in any type of file. From there, you need to read. To read that, we are going to use a file input stream. See, from this file, you are inputting to the program, the stream data. So file input stream. And same way, you have a buffered input stream. You know, what is the difference between these two? A file input stream will read a byte data. 1 byte at a time it will read. So from this file, 1 byte at a time, one flow, 1 byte only it will read. But buffered input stream, a large chunk of data will read one flow. So that's the difference between file input stream and buffered input. Both will read the byte data, but the file input stream will read 1 byte at a time, but buffered input stream will read more than 1 byte. That's a large chunk of data it will read. So then there is a reader abstract class. You remember abstract classes, right? So abstract class we read already. So reader abstract class is there. And then we have a file reader class, buffer reader class. So file reader and buffer reader, it will read the character data. So file reader will read the 1 by 1 character, and buffer reader will read a large chunk of data, large chunk of characters at a time. That's the file reader and buffer reader classes. These are the 4 classes you will use to read the data to your Java program from file to Java program. So in this reading process, classes doesn't do anything, right? Classes just a templates, but the classes inside you have a method to read the data, either byte or character data it will read method. And we have a read line method, reads entire line. That's the read method and read line method. Read line, entire line it will read. That's a read line means. And we have file class. File class is a very another important class. So basically file class will represent your file. So whether this is a file and how you can represent using file class object. We can represent using file class object. That is the file class. First you will create object for file class only. So that's the file class for reading the data. And see, buffered stream is entire, so 1 by 1, no. It will read entire thing and then it will continuous flow will be there. So there is no gaps. So that's the buffering. And even for writing to the files, second scenario I'm coming. So reading, any questions here before moving to writing process? Okay. So while writing the data to the files, you have data in some resource, either in the file or in your code. From there, you need to write it to your files. So how can you write? So it is also streaming data in the pockets, right? Network packets, it will flow, the data will flow. So to write the data, we are going to use file output stream, buffered output stream, writer abstract class is there, and file writer, buffered writer. So file output stream will write 1 byte at a time, but buffered output stream will write more than 1 byte. That's a large chunk of data it will write at a time. And then there is a writer abstract class and file writer. So you can write to the file using character, it will write 1 character, it will write. And buffer writer, you only a large chunk of character. That means entire line or more strings it will write. Entire line you can write with a buffer writer. So these are the classes is used while writing the data. So in writing process, you have to use a write method. Main key role it plays here is write method will write the data. Here a read method will read the data, right? Here write method will write the data, and then you have to use a flush method to flush out the old stream and get the new stream. So that's the flush method also you have to use. A new line cursor will move to next line, and new line also you can use. So these are the some of the methods for writing or outputting the data to the files. Okay. Okay. For reading the data, first you need to create object for file class. File f equal new file. Specify the file location. Where is the file? You need to specify the file location. So next we are going to use, once you create a first step in the reading or writing process, you have to create object for file class. That's the first step. Second step, file input stream. So you create object for file input stream. Fs equal to new file input stream. Where is that? Tools. No. It's not there. It's not. Yes. Not there. Lakshmi has to get up. Where she kept somewhere and we don't know where she kept. It's very difficult to find all this. Okay, so sorry guys. So the second step, you create object for file input stream, fs equal to new file input stream, and pass this file reference here. So these are the steps you need to follow. If you want buffered input stream, just create a buffered input stream object after this step only. File input stream is mandatory for the buffered input stream. So buffered input stream, bas equal to new buffered input stream, and pass this file stream object, file input stream object here. So then you can use the while loop to iterate the data. So that we'll use all these methods and we'll to read that. So let's join back and we'll discuss further these also, file reader and buffer reader. Okay.